All right, guys, this is your Tuesday tip of the week. And this week we're venturing outside of the gym into your bedroom. We're talking about sleep. And I know that everyone's obsessed with what to do inside the gym, ways to increase the volume, ways to increase the intensity, coach, ways to increase the results that we're seeing in our body. But the truth is that we spend much more time in our bed at rest, sleeping, than we do almost doing anything else throughout the day. So, what are you doing and what's your sleep routine look like? I'm gonna give you guys a few tips. Tip number one is that you need to have a routine in itself. And what I mean by that is just like you set your alarm in the morning to wake yourself up and get going, you need to have the equal sense of urgency in getting yourself to bed at night. For a lot of the athletes that I personally coach, I encourage them to even set an alarm for them to start their nighttime routine. Now, what that looks like from athlete to athlete is very different. It could be things like, I'm gonna go through some static stretching before I go upstairs, and as I go upstairs, I'm gonna brush my teeth, wash my face, with the bathroom as dark as I can, and then I'm going to actually start to prepare myself to go to sleep at that point. Another thing that I'll encourage people is through their nighttime routine, once that alarm goes off, to put their phone away and have as little access to that blue light as possible, because that can be something that will neglect or be a negative towards our ability to actually fall into a deeper sleep. So if you have a nighttime routine, continue to practice it. If you don't, maybe experiment with some things. And this could include the static stretching, like I mentioned. It could include a nice cold shower before you go to sleep. And it could also even include some foam rolling, as we know that that's a great way to kind of decompress your body before you take on a night's rest and can help you fall asleep a little bit faster. And then another thing that's very trendy, guys, in your nighttime routine that's common now, even in morning routines, is breathing, right? And this kind of training, both mentally and physiologically, can do great benefits to how you're going to rest at night. So, set your nighttime routine. 2 is think about the environment that you're sleeping in, right? The number one thing that I'll tell people is have your room blacked out. And so that could be as drastic as putting aluminum foil on your windows, or it could be as, small of adjustment as just making sure that your blinds are actually closed as much as they'll be closed, or maybe adding drapes over those blinds. But the goal is we want this room as dark as possible for your rest. And if you can make your room set to a low temperature, that is also ideal. I know most of you men out there are big fans of sleeping in a cold room, at least I myself am. And even if you are females out there that typically like a warmer room, get a thicker comforter, right? But make sure that your temperature in your room is a little bit lower than probably the rest of your house throughout the rest of the day, because again, our body responds really well to simulating the sun going down, the temperature dropping, and then us reaching that state of rest as the day comes to a conclusion. So if we can simulate that within our own home, the better off that we'll be. The next thing is some kind of white noise. If you guys are like me, I'm a pretty light sleeper. Being a husband and a dad, I think that's the protector in me that naturally just comes alive at nighttime. And so the more that I can hear, right, amongst silence, the less that I will sleep well, and the more that I'm stirred throughout the night. And so what I like to do is either sleep with a soft fan running, whether that's in the direction of your bed or not, just that noise tends to help me stay in a deeper sleep for longer periods of time. Or you guys can go out, download an app, or purchase something that creates some kind of soft white noise that is attractive to you and will still allow you to fall asleep and stay asleep. Lastly is to consider, and this is a little bit odd, but how you wake up. Right? If we think about the emergency response that often happens in our response to an alarm, this loud, arrogant noise that kind of sets us off on the wrong foot to start a day, this can actually be detrimental to how we function, especially in those first early hours of the morning. So what I want you guys to do your homework on light alarms. And what that looks like, and there's a ton of brands, I'm not married to any one, and I actually haven't even tried this yet, but I know a few friends that do it, and a few top athletes that swear by it. But essentially this light will start to go into a brighter and brighter state over the course of 35 to 45 minutes, depending on how you set it, and it will peak at the time that you want to be awake. This often leads you to waking up before your set alarm is set, and allows you to gently do so, stirring you into a more state of arousal that's a little bit more convenient than the sound of an urgent alarm would be. And I say all of this From what I understand, based on our body's ability to produce melatonin throughout the night, that helps us stay down or stay asleep, and then reversing that to produce more cortisol early in the morning. This allows us, the light allows us to produce less of that melatonin and allows us to spike that cortisol level as we rise out of bed, and this is actually a good thing. This is something that we want to happen. So, if you're out there, understand that sleep is important, and understand that if you struggle falling asleep, if you're doing the nighttime routine, if you're doing all these things, we have something that will help you also solve that problem with FNX, and it is called our Relax. We have a nighttime supplement that has the right amounts, right? Notice I didn't say the most amounts, but the right amounts of melatonin and magnesium that are going to actually allow you to fall and surrender to sleep and recover without feeling groggy in the morning when it's actually time for you to flip the switch, produce more cortisol, and have less melatonin in your system, unlike a lot of products out there that are fueled with more of what they think is good because it helps you be more sedated, but it's more like passing out than having quality sleep. So I want you guys to look into our Relax as well if you're struggling with your nighttime routine out there, you're struggling with catching your Z's, and make sure that you guys are putting this as a priority in your lifestyle, in your training, because we spend a lot more time in that bed than we do in the gym.